right, let's settle one of the biggest debates in the grocery store, rye bread versus whole wheat. We're putting these two heavyweights head-to-head in the ultimate bread showdown to figure out which one really is the champion. So, which one should you be buying? Let's get into it.
You know the feeling, right? You're in the bread aisle, trying to do the right thing, and you're staring at this wall of options. You've got the dark, hearty-looking rye, and then you've got the classic, super familiar whole wheat. I mean, they both seem healthy, but you have to wonder, is one actually better for you?
So, let's meet our contenders. In this corner, we've got rye bread, that dense, hearty challenger with a really unique flavor. And in the other corner, whole wheat, the popular staple. You know, the one that's been the go-to healthy choice for like forever. It's time to see how they really stack up.
Okay, ding ding ding, it's time for round one, the head-to-head nutrition facts. To kick things off, we're going straight to the label. I mean, that's the most obvious place to start, right? Let's see what the numbers actually tell us. So you look at the nutrition facts, and honestly, you might be a little shocked at how close this fight is. The calories, pretty much identical. And get this, the fiber is a dead tie at 1.9 grams per slice. Okay, whole wheat does have a tiny bit more protein, but just based on this, you'd have to call it a draw.
But here's the thing. The nutrition label only shows you the tip of the iceberg. If we stopped here, we'd just walk away thinking they're the same. The real differences are hidden under the surface and how our bodies actually use these breads.
And that brings us to round two, the blood sugar battle. Now, this is a huge deal for things like stable energy, managing your weight, just your overall health. So when it comes to keeping your blood sugar in check, which bread is going to come out on top?
So to really get this round, we have to talk about something called the glycemic index, or GI. It's basically just a score that tells us how fast a food jacks up our blood sugar. A lower number is what you want. It means a slower, more stable energy release without that awful crash later.
And boom, this is where we see a clear winner. Just look at the chart. Rye bread has a way lower glycemic index than whole wheat. This means it causes a much slower, more gradual rise in blood sugar. You're not going to get that big spike and then a crash that you might with higher GI foods.
So for round two, the winner is, without a doubt, rye. And it's not just the lower GI. Get this. Research shows it has something called a second meal effect. That means eating it helps keep your blood sugar stable for hours and can even affect how your body responds to your next meal. How cool is that? That's a huge advantage. All right, on to round three, the fight for heart health. Now, we all know both of these whole grains are good for your heart, but if we dig a little deeper, does one of them have kind of like a secret weapon? Let's find out. Okay, this is where the type of fiber is a total game changer. Whole wheat has a lot of insoluble fiber, which is awesome for, keeping things moving along. But rye bread is packed with soluble fiber. This stuff is amazing. It basically acts like a sponge that soaks up cholesterol and helps carry it right out of your body.
And the science totally backs this up. The research is pretty clear. Eating rye bread regularly can actually lead to a real drop in both total and that bad LDL cholesterol, especially when you compare it to wheat bread. So with that, we have to declare another winner. Round three goes to rye. That higher amount of soluble fiber gives it a serious protective edge when we're talking about long-term heart health.
And now it's time for our final round, the digestion decision. We already know they have the same amount of fiber, but how that fiber actually works inside our bodies, well, that's a whole different story. So which one does a better job of supporting a healthy gut?
See, this is where rye is just on another level. That soluble fiber we talked about, it acts as a prebiotic. Just think of it like superfood for all the good bacteria living in your gut. When those good microbes munch on the right fiber, they produce these amazing things called short-chain fatty acids, which are so important for keeping your gut healthy and calm. So yeah, whole wheat is good for keeping you regular, but rye is actively feeding and nourishing your entire gut ecosystem. For that awesome prebiotic power and its long-term support for your gut, the winner of our final round is, once again, rye.
Well, the rounds are over, and we definitely have a clear frontrunner. So what does this all mean for you and your grocery list? It's time for the final verdict. Let's tally up the scorecard. Rye took the win for blood sugar control, for heart health, and for long-term digestion. But hey, let's give whole wheat its due. It does have a slight edge on protein, so it definitely still has a solid place in a healthy diet. But you know what? At the end of the day, while rye seems to have the edge in this specific matchup, the real lesson here is this. The true enemy isn't rye or whole wheat, it's refined white bread.
The single most important thing you can do is make sure whatever you choose is 100% whole grain.
So, here's how you pick your champion. First, think about your own health goals. If blood sugar is a big concern for you, rye is probably your best bet. If you want a little more protein, maybe go for the whole wheat. Second, you gotta read the label. And third, and this is key, make sure whole rye or whole wheat is the very first ingredient. That's how you know you're getting the good stuff.
Look, both of these are fantastic choices, and they're worlds better than plain white bread. The real winner of this showdown is anyone who picks a true whole grain option. So, after all that, which champion are you going to toss in your cart next time?